Best believe I need to be where hopes and dreams run free. Beneath the beats, a man who seeks to hear the deep sea speak. I'm on the incline to elevate.
So hey, this is Caleb Ralston from Mass Muscle TV, bringing the competitors to you, and I am joined by documentary filmmaker Mike Pulcinella. How you doing, Mike?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, my first question is, how did you get into documentary filmmaking?
You know, it's funny. It happened quite by accident. I've been working in our family's printing business for over 25 years, and I had a little video camera just gathering dust on a shelf. My brother had been a bodybuilder since he was a teenager, and he was going to try to win the Delaware State competition for the second year in a row. And I knew that our family had no idea of what he went through to be a bodybuilder, because I had an insight into his life, and I knew that most of our family had no idea. He sort of kept it to himself. And I just wanted to make I wanted to challenge myself to make a documentary style video to see if I could do it. And also at the same time to show our family what was involved in bodybuilding. And really this was Raising the Bar, the first video I made with my brother, was really just intended for a family party after the contest was over. That's all it was meant to be. But it got the attention of a few people in the industry. My brother actually said to me, he turned to me, he goes, you know, we've really got something here. No one's doing anything like this in bodybuilding. He said it's mostly just workout videos, and I had no idea, because I never watched bodybuilding videos, you know, Ronnie Coleman stuff or whatever, the Myths films. I'd never seen a single one of them. He goes, no one is telling a story and showing the lifestyle stuff of bodybuilders the way you are, because I have to show this to some people. So Raising the Bar got the attention of a few people. It was actually listed on some websites. Crazy thing was alongside like Arnold Schwarzenegger's comeback DVD. There was my thing, and it just blew me away. It got some attention, and then people started saying, well, are you going to make a sequel? You know, your brother won the local contest. He's going to the national level. Why don't you follow him there? So that became Raising the Bar 2, where he went to the national level. Didn't do so well, had to sort of regroup. And there's that whole dramatic story there. It also impacted his relationships, and that's what we show more than anything else, is how this 24/7 sport can impact relationships. And he and his girlfriend actually sort of break up on camera. We see this happening through the course of Raising the Bar 2, and it's very powerful stuff. And then we went on to make a third Raising the Bar, which was also very successful, about his final attempt to turn pro, and what happened after that, and when he retired, and life after bodybuilding, and that whole sort of thing. But that series got the attention of Gerard Dente at Muscle Meds, who said to me, I loved it. Would you like to work with Kai Greene and do the same thing for him? I immediately said yes.
Easy answer.
It was an easy answer.
Now, we see a lot of drama happen on camera with both the RTB and the Kai Greene DVDs, the Victor DVDs, and now the Rodney series. I guess my question is that all real, or is it kind of played up a little bit for the camera?
It's never played up for the camera. I don't stage anything. In fact, I ask that my subjects to try to ignore me as much as possible. And I try to spend as much time as I can with them, with the camera constantly rolling, so that they just get used to the idea that I'm always there. And it takes a while, but eventually they forget. And because most of the time they're involved in something that's so consuming of all their energies, that they have to forget. They just can't be constantly aware that they're on camera. So no, we don't stage anything. And in fact, if I find that someone is starting to play to the camera a little bit, I won't use it.
Okay.
However, I do dramatize things, and people have accused me of being overly dramatic. And a lot of that has to do with my voiceover and the kind of things that I add to the story to try to link things together. And it may be said that I over dramatize things, but I think that it's necessary to make a point sometimes. Like with Rodney's latest installment of his documentary series, he was having some trouble as he was getting ready for a bodybuilding show. His strength was diminishing. And so he was missing lifts that he could have gotten easily before. And, in one of the blurbs for that video, I said something like, will he be able to come to terms with the fact that his strength is diminishing? And people were saying, you're making a big deal out of nothing. I don't think so. Because inside the subject's head, that is the way it is. Will I be able to come to terms with this? I mean, they struggle with it, and many guys, they put on a stoic face, and they won't admit it. But inside, I know that these things are going on. And so when I say that, I feel that I'm expressing something that the subject himself wouldn't be able to express. Okay,
interesting. Now, would you say you learned a lot of things from filming Dave that you didn't know before?
Oh, absolutely. That entire experience was a learning experience for me, because I, like the rest of my family, had no idea what he was doing. Short story was that in my late 30s, I had a double hernia operation, which laid me out really bad. Hernia operations are usually not that bad, but I had a bad one. And it laid me out, and I lost a lot of weight. And my brother looked at me, he says, look, I'm going to build you back up again. I'm going to show you how the bodybuilders do it. He says, he and I have both been working out all our lives. Our father introduced us to it, but I never really did it the right way. He said, I'm going to show you how to eat. I'm going to show you how to train. And I went from like 165, 70 pounds to like 190 pounds, pretty lean. Mm-hmm. And it was exhilarating. It was like nothing I had ever experienced. And I understood finally why he did what he did and how he did it. And along the way, I watched the extreme to which he took it to be a competitive bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it was a completely new world for me. I was fascinated. And I still try to, whenever I do a documentary of any kind, I still try to enter into it with that same naive mindset. Mm-hmm. I position myself as the outsider looking in. And, what's this all about? And I don't understand it. And I can ask naive questions because of that. You sit somebody like Richard Martinez down, and most of the people that interview him are bodybuilding experts. They've been in and around the field for years. So they would not ask him a stupid question like, why do you have to eat 6, 7, 8 times a day? Mm-hmm. So he would never get asked that question. But because I'm the outsider looking in, I can ask a naive question. And very often, a question like that will elicit an answer from a subject that he wouldn't normally say. It maybe throws him a little off balance to have to go back to basics and explain to a newcomer why we do the things we do. It doesn't always yield results, but very often it will. And I like to position myself as the outside looking in.
Okay. Now with working with Kai, we've all noticed he's extremely focused. And what is it like working with him?
It's both easy in some ways and very difficult in other ways. It's easy because he is naturally a dramatic person and he does things to an extreme. And for a filmmaker, that's what you want. You want somebody who's really pushing himself. You don't want somebody who's taking it easy or playing it safe. Kai doesn't play it safe. And we saw that in Overkill. I mean, he was pushing himself to his absolute limit. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, focus sometimes he can be somewhat withdrawn and hard to reach. And I understand that. So at times I will try to interview him and he just won't be there, for me. And so I back off. So that can be difficult sometimes, is getting him to be, as open as I need him to be. Because he's also very private. And as you can see from the Raising the Bar series and some of the other things I've done, I'd like to get into the private lives of my subjects. You and I both know that what happens in the gym with these guys is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's really just one small moment in a long day. And that day can affect so many other aspects of your life and your relationships and things. And I like to get into that. But Kai is very private, and he's kept a lot of that from me. I understand that. I give him his boundaries, and that's fine. So that makes it a little difficult for me to get as personal as I'd like to be. But at the same time, he's Kai Greene. He's a spectacular bodybuilder, and whenever I do get footage, it's always good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like filming both Kai and Victor getting ready for their shows respectively, but not reaching the prestigious goal that they had set?
Well, I'll tell you, that was as disappointing for me as it was for them, because we want to make a great documentary and put out a DVD for the fans, and you just can't end on a low note like that. So yes, I was as devastated as they were, but I'm like, gotta keep rolling. This is where it counts. Because I tell my subjects all the time, I say, we've got to be ready to show the low points as well as the high points. People would love for everything to just be lovely throughout, but it's just not that way. And so we have to show the difficulties as well as the successes. And here we were at the Olympia, both of those guys placing very poorly, very under what we had expected. And yeah, it was difficult, especially since we had spent so much time and shot so much footage leading up to that, and simply could not make a DVD at that point. And I still have footage I haven't even gone through yet from both of those guys from that whole previous year. And Victor Martinez, I've been working with him for over 2 years and have not had it yet. I started working with Victor Martinez just after the knee had healed up and he was just getting back into training.
Wow.
And there has never really been a good moment for him to make the DVD because he's really never quite been on top ever since that injury. If you think about it, his last great moment was placing second at the Olympia, which was a few months before his knee blew out.
Right.
And I wasn't with him then, so I've been shooting him constantly since that time, waiting for a good moment to make his DVD. And it just hasn't come yet. I'm sure that we'll put something together somewhere along the way because there's just so much great footage.
Right.
But it's tough finding that moment, and shooting them both is very difficult. It's very time consuming. And I live in Philadelphia. They live in near New York and in Brooklyn, so I'm driving up and back a lot. It can be very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question?
No, totally.
Okay.
And then what are your plans for the next Kai DVD? Because I believe you have a DVD already made, you just haven't released it. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate. We have 2 DVDs out.
Okay,
The
right.
first one was about his first attempt at the Olympia. The second one was about his
Redemption, yeah.
right, winning at the Arnold Classic. And we've been shooting for this third DVD,
one.
which
Okay.
we hoped was going to end at the last Olympia. When it didn't, it's just sort of in limbo. We've got this footage from all kinds of different things. What are we going to do with it? Depends on what happens in the next few months. I mean, we're going to continue to film. He's going to the New York Pro in a few weeks. I'll be there at that show. And then onward to the Olympia. What happens at the Olympia may determine whether or not the DVD comes out. At the same time with Kai, we've been doing something else. Because people have complained that, the drama and the story is all well and good, but we need some real information from him. And he's actually reluctant, as I showed in Redemption, he's reluctant to take on the role of teacher at this point. He feels like he needs to devote time to thinking about what it means to teach before he'll actually do that. So we sort of, I hate to say it, sort of forced him to do this a little bit for us by running these contests at MuscleMed where people can sign up and train with Kai. Like one winner gets to train with Kai. We did one right after the Arnold and it turned out really good. We're going to do one right after the New York Pro. And in that way we get to see Kai Greene, giving real information about training, the kind of things that we like to see in a natural setting where he's not speaking to the camera and trying to be a host of the video or a teacher. He's just showing a young bodybuilder, no, this is how you do it. And so we're planning to do a series of these with various winners of these contests. And that itself might be an instructional DVD, just the Kai Greene training session, you know what I mean? Separate from the overarching story of what's happening with the New York Pro and training for the Olympia and stuff like that. But there's no, and people always ask me, when's the next DVD come out? There's no real schedule, there's no definite date. We sort of just film until we feel we have enough to make something solid, and then I edit it together, and then we make a DVD and we put it out.
Okay. Now, kind of a big deal right now is the Kai Greene Oscar situation. Like, what do you think of that?
I thought it was very unfortunate. As I showed in Overkill, this really was like a brotherly relationship or a father-son kind of relationship, especially considering that Kai, was pretty much an orphan. I mean, he knew his mother, but he was in foster homes for much of his life. So I really saw it as a very close relationship. And I understand the need for making changes when things aren't working out the way you want them to be. And these guys are, at the top of their game here, and they need to be able to make these changes. It was just unfortunate that, that the relationship also had to break apart. And as far as I know, now, you got to realize, all I just know from, interviewing them from time to time. I'm not friends with these guys. I don't hang out with them and that sort of thing. It is in my capacity as working for Muscle Meds and MHP to interview them. And you do spend a few minutes talking to them off the record. And I know it was very painful for both of them to have to sever this relationship. Oscar was hurt, and Kai went through a lot of soul searching before he did it. I did a whole interview with him right after the Olympia that I couldn't use because he was just so down, thinking about what he had to do to move forward. He was not in a position to be able to articulate it properly. He was not in the right frame of mind. It just came off as a really negative, aimless kind of interview. And so we re-interviewed later where he was clearer about the fact that he had to move on. But I could see that it was a very difficult decision for him. Is it something that he had to do? I don't know. And there's a lot of rumors about what was said behind the scenes and all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to repeat some of that stuff because I don't think it should have been, that some of those offhand comments that were put out there by some of the bodybuilding gossip columnists, I really don't think should have been repeated because it did nothing but add negativity to the sport and hurt people's feelings. So I can't comment on that. I won't comment on that stuff because I don't even want to continue to give that stuff life. Right. But I know that it was a difficult decision, and I personally feel bad for both of the guys and feel bad for myself because I like them as a team. It worked well for the videos, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen from here on out.
Now, have you met George yet?
I've talked to him on the phone, and I will give you an exclusive piece of information that I don't think anybody knows. I'm not 100% sure that Kai is working with George.
Oh, really?
Although I did announce it, and it was told to me, he's definitely working with George. I've heard some rumblings, and he may not be working with him, or at least not quite in the capacity that we thought. It might not be like an Oscar-Kai relationship. He might just be calling him a couple of times just to get some diet advice. I don't think it's going to be that kind of intensive one-on-one thing that he did with Oscar, with George.
Wow.
So I don't, I don't think it's going to be quite as much as people thought it was, or as even as I thought it was at first. At least that's what I've been hearing.
Okay, so then do you have kind of like a tentative time that you're going to start filming with Kai again?
We should be filming any day now. I mean, I've been trying to coordinate schedules with him. It's very difficult. He's doing a lot of guest posing, and of course, he's getting pretty intense into the training for the New York Pro, which is only 5 weeks? How many weeks away?
So.
Yeah, 5 weeks away. So
yeah.
I hope to be shooting with him very soon leading up to the New York Pro, and then certainly after that through to the Olympia. Again, there's no real schedule. We just stay in contact.
Right.
When he has some open time and I can make it up there, I'll come up, do a little bit of interviewing, shoot some video, and then just see how it goes.
Now, just a couple of questions left. First off, do you train as well?
I do. I don't train to be a bodybuilder. You can see I'm kind of thin. I'm about 180 pounds, which is good for me. I actually try to keep my weight lighter because I need to be on my feet all the time when I'm shooting, carrying equipment. Got to move from one end of the gym, get that stuff to the other, the lights to the other end. I'm running across the gym. When I was a bit heavier, about 190 or so, even though I was still pretty lean, it was actually more difficult to do my job. And for my body type, to try to keep the weight up was actually almost a full-time job in itself. So I let myself go back to my natural weight, which is a little lighter, and I feel better, and I'm better able to do my job. But I live like a bodybuilder. I eat like a bodybuilder. I eat 6 meals a day, real clean, try to stay lean. I work out every day because this is a very this chair you see me sit in, I sit in this chair for 12 hours a day when I'm editing. And so I have to get up in the middle of that. I go to the gym, get some sweat on. And so yeah, I try to exercise every day and eat and drink a lot of water, just like the bodybuilders do. Although that's not my objective, is to get big.
Okay. And then out of MHP, Muscle Meds, and Zero Limits, what are your favorite products?
Absolutely, I can tell you that right now. The Zero Limits Eponox, which is the pre-workout pills, are great. The one thing that I've noticed that they do is, when you get to the end of a set and it starts to burn and you just feel like you can't do anymore, it kind of eliminates that. I can go longer and do more reps on that stuff. Absolutely. So that one I like. And then after the workout, I always do dark matter from MHP. That's kind of funny because I combine all the different stuff. Dark matter from MHP is the best after workout drink that I've ever used, and my brother Dave uses it too. It's really good stuff. And by the way, Victor Martinez uses it. I mean, these guys are not just sponsored by the companies. They do use the stuff. I've seen them. I don't stage them. Okay, you got to do a dark matter drink. I watch him. He takes it out. He starts using it, and I maybe I'll shoot a little bit of it. But they really do use this stuff. Maybe not in the last few days before a show because everything's got to be perfectly clean. We all know that. But generally speaking, they do. What else? I also use because I'm getting a little older now. I also use the testosterone booster T-Bomb 2 from MHP, and I really feel that works. I know there's some controversy about whether or not it's actually doing what it's. All these testosterone boosters, whether or not they work, I feel that it does. I really feel something from those. Those are the main things I use. Also, the Activite, the MHP vitamin, I use that too.
Oh, okay.
The multivitamin, yeah. Oh, and of course, the various protein powders. I've used both Carnivore and Carnivore is for muscle meds, and MHP's IsoFast 50, and for a shake, it's good stuff.
Okay, great. Wow. You used a lot.
Yeah, I've always used supplements, for years. Our whole family is into this culture.
Right.
My brother is the only one that took it to an extreme, but my sister works out, and my father is in his 70s. He still goes to the gym every day. Yeah, and he's in great shape. So this is our family culture. There's only my brother that took it as far as he did.
Okay. So now what's it like working with Rodney? Because he seems more kind of, out of the three of them, kind of like a rebel, but still seems like a nice guy. What's it like working with him?
He was actually quite a surprise to me because I only knew him from his online persona.
Right.
And that is true. He is kind of a jokester, and he's kind of a wild man. I mean, you see him in the gym. That is not a put on. That is what he does. But at the same time, I found out he's a real nice guy. He's very gentle. When he's not getting ready to train, he's very soft-spoken, very introspective. And the thing with his kids, he just loves his kids, and he doesn't want to, take too much away from them to do the bodybuilding. The one thing about Rodney that was different from my other subjects is he's a ham. He's a ham, and I had to try to keep him from playing to the camera too much. I tell everyone not to talk into the camera. My style is called a fly on the wall. We don't. I hate the videos where people are like, okay, here we are at such and such gym, and we're going to do this. Don't talk to the camera. I just don't. There's something about that bothers me, stylistically. There's nothing wrong with it for other people, but for me, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. So I say, never look into the camera, never talk to the camera. But Rodney was such a ham, and he was so used to doing that from being an interviewer for MD, that I couldn't stop him. I kept telling him, and he kept forgetting. So I just let that go, and I just let him be himself. Which eventually that's what you have to do. Usually, allowing people to ignore the camera lets them be themselves. But he, being such a ham, I had to let him talk to the camera to be himself. So there was that aspect, and just working with him, you get the best footage in the world because he just goes nuts before a set. And I tell you, I don't think he's putting it on at all. I think he's really trying to tap into something very primal. Mm-hmm. And he's a little guy, short, and incredibly powerful. And it's got to come from somewhere, and that's how he does it. And I loved it. And and the working relationship with him is great because, like I said, he is a nice guy at the same time. I really enjoyed working with him a lot.
Yeah, he seems like a really good guy.
Yeah.
What can we expect then with all three of these guys? Training DVDs probably coming out within the next year or so?
I would say we're going to put together, from all the online episodes with Rodney, we'll put together a DVD and we'll probably add something extra. Because he was training for the show and not as strong as he'd like to be, maybe we'll go back and just shoot a hardcore workout where he's, off season and just heavy as he can go. Just something really, really energetic like that, and throw that on the DVD. That's what I planned for him. And then we've got the Kai DVD. Probably the training sections will be one thing, and the story will be something else. Again, depending on what happens through the Olympia.
Two separate DVDs?
Well, yeah, I can't promise that. That's what I'm going to suggest to Muscle Meds. I'm going to suggest put out a training DVD first. because to edit the stories takes so much longer.
Right.
It just takes so much longer. So we could probably if we keep doing these training sessions with him, get every body part, put out a really nice training DVD with Kai, which he's never had. I'm going to suggest that, and then at the same time we'll be doing the story, which may or may not end at the Olympia. For Victor, I feel like we've got to make something for Victor this year. Mm-hmm. It's just been too long, and there's just too much great stuff. So I'm hoping that he'll do well enough at the Olympia that it'll feel like a victory, or win. He could win. I mean, he's really coming back strong. His mindset, as you've seen from some of these online videos, because now that he's working with Oscar, and Oscar works with the mind, as we know. His mindset is different than it's been in a long time. He's more positive. He's more optimistic than he's been, and he could be up there. Maybe he could take it. Who knows? It's been a long time coming for him. So I really think we should be able to put something together with him this year that will feel positive and uplifting, whether or not he takes the front spot at the Olympia.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to those.
And there's always a possibility of erasing the bar 4. I've never stopped shooting with my brother. He's not competing anymore, but he's got his hand in bodybuilding. He's come with me behind the scenes to various contests. And there's stories that I could tell. I'm just waiting to feel like when I have enough to fill a DVD.
Like a life after bodybuilding?
A life after bodybuilding, and he's been passing on his knowledge to some younger bodybuilders, and we've been following some of them. It's a lot less focused than the early ones. It was very easy before. It was like, Dave's going to do this contest, let's follow him through it. But now it's like Dave's got his hand in all these different things. That would be raising the bar 4. When that's going to happen, I can never quite tell. It'll happen when it feels right. That's what I keep telling people.
Okay. Wow. That would be exciting. And then what's next for you personally? Future plans?
I just want to do more of the same. Not only within the world of bodybuilding. People keep saying to me, you really got to do things outside the world of bodybuilding. You got to jump out of it. And in a way, I agree. And I would like to do some things that are fresh and new for me. But I've also spent a lot of time in the bodybuilding world, getting a reputation, getting my name out there, and making connections with people in the world that I feel like right now I'm ready to really produce some great stuff. Because I'm finally feeling comfortable in this world, and I have the connections that I need to get backstage when I need to get interviews with people that I need to, that I think that over the next year or so I could make some really great additions to the bodybuilding video library, I'd say for the next 2 years. I want this to be my business. I mean, I am doing this full time now. It's kind of rocky whether or not it'll take off as a business that can actually sustain me. But I want this to be documentary filmmaking. I want it to be a business. I'd like to always be in the bodybuilding world, but I'd like to jump out a little bit too. So I'm looking for outside projects. Got a few things. Actually, I'm working with a woman who does she does a program with little kids, like kindergarten age kids, about bullying. She helps them deal with and avoid bullying, and we're putting together DVDs of her presentations because she can't do this all across the country, and we're going to be put. So that's a little step outside of this world, and that's and I feel like I'm doing good for for people and that kind of thing, and she's going to be great to work with. So things like that. I'm going to take little steps outside of the bodybuilding world, and all of that stuff will be little clips and things will be posted on Facebook, which has been the greatest thing for gathering together. As you know, a network of fans and friends who give advice and pass your clips around. I mean, it's been really, really wonderful. So just more of the same, just more of getting my work out there. That's basically what I want to do.
Okay, and then where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, of course, Mike Pulcinella. That's MikePulcinella. And that's probably the best place to hook up with me, because that's the first place that I post new clips. Whenever there's something new, that's where I go first is Facebook. After you could also send me your email address and get on my mailing list and things like that. But I'll do that all through Facebook.
Now you run a fitness video right? Forum?
Yeah, I do. That's kind of a specialized thing. That's really for people who are in the fitness industry who want to learn how to promote themselves with video, but anyone could really go there. Fitness Video U has all kinds of tips for making videos and shooting videos that would help anybody doing any kind of video. And I'm there I check in constantly, and people ask questions. How do I shoot this kind of thing? How do I edit this kind of thing? I'd love to answer those kind of questions, based on my experience. I'm no expert. I've never been to film school, but I learned the hard way. I've made every mistake possible, and I can tell you how to avoid. Probably not every mistake possible yet. I'm sure there's a couple ahead of me. I mean, I've had moments where I'm filming the most amazing thing, and the microphone was turned off.
Yeah. Yep.
And I didn't get it. Guys crying on camera because for whatever reason, and I didn't get it. So stuff like that. Always make sure your microphone's on.
Yeah.
So Fitness Video U is great, and of course Facebook, and I have a website, MikePulcinella.com, which has all kinds of clips and descriptions of my movies, and you can buy the DVDs there if you're interested.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mike.
Thank you very much.
And thank you guys for tuning in to Mass Muscle TV, bringing the competitors to you.
Best believe I need a beat where hopes and dreams run free. Beneath the beats, a man who seeks to hear the deep sea speak. I'm on the incline to elevate, multiply, grow, flow, escalate from stepping stones to yesterday. So don't cry for me, V. You're not deleted, just in need of healing, and I